A lot of people say upgrading a cheap bike is dumb, but what if I told you that's almost true for every bike, whether cheap or expensive? Now I understand, you look at this and you say, that's a Walmart bike. Why would you put expensive parts on it when the bike is so cheap? I can get where you're coming from with that, but the truth is, we're comparing the wrong prices. Now, as you know, I put some significant upgrades on this bike, such as a new wireless drivetrain. This is the Shimano Dior wireless setup. I got new Shimano wheels, brakes. Did we do tires? We didn't do tires, did we? No, we left the stock tires, new bars, new stem, new headset. So we put quite a bit of upgrades on here, and the bike comes stock at $898. And as you know, all these parts cost a lot more than what the bike costs stock. So that got me to wondering, because people kept saying, why would you put that much in upgrades on a bike that doesn't cost that much? Why won't you just buy a higher end bike? And it was kind of making me question, and that is kind of true. Why would I do that? But then I started to look in deeper, and I'm glad I did a little more research on this. And that's when I found out we were comparing the wrong prices. And you might be wondering, what do I mean by that? So I did a little research, and I was trying to see how much does it actually cost for companies that like Trek, Specialized, that produce in high volume. How much does it cost them to produce frames, whether that be high end or low end? And what most people talk about is how much this bike costs versus the parts on it. Now I looked that up, and it ranges from $200 to about $800. And I don't think people realize the bike itself is not what's expensive. It's the logo, it's the marketing, it's the design, it's all those things. But if you go buy a standard aluminum mountain bike that will get the job done, modern geometry, no specific geometry patents or anything like that, it doesn't cost anything to manufacture these. So essentially, the expensive bikes are not any better. We just pay for all the other stuff, not the bike. So in my opinion, that negates all of those arguments of why would you put expensive parts on a bike like this? Because if that's the case, then it wouldn't make sense to upgrade any bike because of how low the cost is of the actual bike. Because they're buying everything at wholesale, which is way cheaper than what we pay. We pay everything retail, so we're looking at how much this bike was versus how much those parts cost to put on them retail. And they don't pay retail, they pay wholesale. So basically what it comes down to is it makes no sense to upgrade any bike if you're going strictly by how much the bike actually costs, because we pay a whole different price than what they pay. But because it's marked up, the logo and everything like that, it's made out to be more expensive. Now I will admit they do have some geometry aspects and this and that might drive up the price a little bit when it comes to manufacturing, but just as far as a standard modern aluminum mountain bike, if we're paying retail for the parts, it will always be more than what the actual bike costs. I want to give a huge thanks to Bear Mattress for sponsoring this video. They opened my eyes to something that I never knew. I never knew how important having a quality mattress was. I'm very active throughout my days, and being able to come home to a nice, comfortable mattress has changed everything. I personally have the Elite Hybrid model, and this is the medium firmness. If you're in the US, Bear Mattress ships right to your front door, and it actually comes in a fairly small box. And what's nice about Bear Mattress, you can take a sleep quiz so you can find out what mattress exactly fits you. And on top of that, you get a 120-day trial so you can see if the mattress actually fits you or not. And unlike other mattresses that take hours, maybe even days to fill out, as soon as you open this box, the mattress unfolds, you can sleep on it right away. All right, I haven't laid on the bed yet. We just got it unfolded, and I'm gonna do the honors right now. Oh, this is nice. This is nice. I guess that's the end of the video. I'm going to sleep. Another very important thing about this mattress, and I didn't even know it was a thing in mattresses, this does not have any fiberglass in it. And I don't know anybody who wants to sleep on a mattress with fiberglass in it. I don't. And it also doesn't have any harmful chemicals. So this mattress is completely safe, it's comfortable, and it keeps you cool at night. This thing has been a game changer for me ever since I started just sleeping on it. And the best part about this is you could get a Bear mattress 40% off by using code MADDYACTIVE. And I highly suggest you check it out because you can't go wrong with a Bear mattress. Now this is standard business. This is what all companies do. But for some reason, I think people think bikes are made out of this rare material or this special material or something, because the markups are crazy. And I don't think people understand how much these companies actually pay for these bikes. So you're not really paying for the bike. You're paying for all the other back end stuff that don't even matter. Oh, this thing feels good. Because you got to think about it. Let's say it cost them $400, $500 to make, let's say the Trek Fuel EX, but you paying $3,000 for the base model. Like, tell me how much sense does that make? It cost them $400, let's just say less than $800 to manufacture, but you paying $3,000 just because of all the logos and the marketing and distribution and all that. But Walmart came in and they went direct to consumer, which is why they're able to get the prices the way they are. So I don't understand that argument now. Is why would you pay more in parts for the bike than what it costs? But that's the trap. You screwed either way. You either gonna be overcharged for the parts or you're gonna be overcharged for buying the complete bike. So you lose either way. This bike is feeling good. I was feeling a little bit worried about upgrading this rear shock, but now learning what I've learned about what these bikes actually cost, I don't mind upgrading the shock now. Now, like I was saying, the system is set up for upgrades to be expensive. So you lose either way. You buy an expensive bike, so you get way overcharged for the complete bike, or you buy a cheaper bike and you get charged a lot for the upgraded parts because you're paying retail. So either way you look at it, you're getting the short end of the stick. So I've never understood that. Now my argument about the Walmart bikes were if they fall apart or explode or something, but I think these frames are pretty durable. These prices are way lower than what we actually pay for the bikes. That's what ruined my thought process on expensive bikes. Now I will tell you something, I'll spend a lot more money on a gravel/road bike than I would on a mountain bike, because in my opinion, you get way more benefits, and I'll make a video about that in the future, because I think those bikes are actually worth the money, if I'm being honest. Now we're still getting highly overcharged, I feel like, but if I'm gonna spend a lot of money on a bike, I feel better spending it on those bikes than I would on something like this. Now, one thing I want to mention on this bike, if you put a water bottle on here, look, you don't have any room. That's the one downfall to this bike that I really don't like. I don't know about you, but I think this bike is doing pretty damn good. Have you ever heard the saying, you get in your own way, or someone's getting in their own way? That's what I feel like these bike companies do. Bikes are such a great asset to life. I feel like some of these people saw that there's people willing to pay for expensive bikes and they took it way overboard. A bike is something that's super simple to use. Anybody from 2 years old to 90 years old can ride a bike. And I think a lot of people lose sight of that, how much of an asset this is to life. I think this is one of those inventions that will be around forever and that's actually timeless. I don't know how we got to where $1,500 to $2,000 is an entry-level price for a mountain bike. And if you buy something like this and you upgrade it, then it's dumb. When it takes these companies a couple $100s just to manufacture these things. It's kind of mind-blowing, honestly. And that's why I'm glad I found gravel bikes and road bikes, because it really shows me how mountain bikes have just taken things to a whole nother level. Now, don't get me wrong, they got some bikes that are road bikes and gravel bikes that are super expensive, but I do feel like you get a lot more use out of those. You get in shape way easier, way faster. And those are just bikes that you could take out the front door. There's no thought, there's no nothing. I gotta load this thing up. When I get done riding, I gotta take it home. It's a lot. It makes my brain hurt just thinking about the amount of stuff I gotta do just to mountain bike. And on top of that, you gotta pay thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm rambling, but I'm about to get back to this ride. It blows my mind. Man, this is a nice bike. I am not gonna lie. I was starting to think 120 millimeters wasn't enough, but I'm starting to kind of like it. It feels good, feels responsive. It takes the chatter out just enough, but it makes you feel the trail just enough as well. Because as you know, or some of you know, I like hardtails a lot better. But this 120 millimeters is really starting to grow on me the more I ride it. When I first started riding, I used to think it was 160 or nothing. And then the more and more I started riding, the more I realized 140 is plenty. And now I'm starting to realize 120 is plenty. So it's really eye-opening what 120 is actually like once you give it a chance. If you're looking into somewhat of a budget wireless drivetrain, definitely look into this Shimano Dior. This is nice. So smooth, and it shifts quick. It feels good to be back out here. It's kind of hard to believe you can put all this on a Walmart bike. But Tasso is always one of my favorite places. This is up here in Boulder. If I want to get a quick chill loop in, Batasso is usually a go-to. In my opinion, I think all of these expensive prices are just getting out of control. I think it's leaning too far on the expensive side instead of in the more affordable range, which is where most people buy bikes. And there is a market for the expensive stuff, but this is a consumer recreational tool. This is not something of a necessity for people. So I don't know why it's priced at a premium. And people say, oh, why would you do that? Upgrade this bike when you can get a nicer bike. And it's like, dude, the bike is not made out of gold or something. I don't know what you think these bikes are made out of, but this is just aluminum. It's not that serious. So I just look at it from a realistic standpoint. I'm seeing what I'm getting out of it. It's changing my life. I get to ride pretty much every day on my gravel bike, and then I can ride this when I have time to mountain bike. A lot of us don't have time to mountain bike because it takes a lot of time and effort, and it's dangerous, and it's expensive. There's just a lot of things that you got going against you. instead of for you when it comes to mountain biking. Hey, how you doing? We got people looking at me on the trail. Oh, they on treks. Yeah. Hey. See, they on treks. See, treks are nice bikes, but it's just way too overpriced. I'm just at the point now, like, what are we doing at this point? I'm having just as fun, if not more fun, on this bike, knowing that it's affordable and I don't have to second guess myself. Like, am I getting my money's worth riding this bike? Is it up to par of what I would think it would be at this price point? This is an $800 bike. And yeah, I put some upgrades into it, but let's say I bought it for $800, or let's say $900. It's $898. So $900. Let's say I bought it for $900. I'm not so stressed about, am I getting my money's worth? Am I riding enough? Am I doing this or that? I can have fun on this bike and not have buyer's remorse or thinking about, oh man, I gotta make all that money back I just spent, or I gotta make these payments on this bike. There's people out here buying $10,000 bikes that are making payments on them. Well, you can get something like this and turn it into a $10,000 bike for half the price. So yeah, that's my whole thought on this. I don't even care about expensive mountain bikes no more. They don't even catch my attention. Like high quality premium gravel bikes and stuff, that's way more worth it in my opinion. Those catch my attention. Now this is just something that you do every once in a while. Who can mountain bike on a daily basis if you have a family and a job? It's just not realistic. So why break the bank on a mountain bike? Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't get a nice mountain bike, but I'm just saying realistically, why would you do it when you got way better options out there and you could feel much better about the purchase instead of riding feeling like you have to ride, instead of riding because you want to ride. Now, I don't want y'all to think that I'm bashing mountain biking or I don't like mountain biking anymore. I still love mountain biking, but I just think a lot of us set these unrealistic expectations for it that we can't even hit. And then a few months down the road, like you don't even mountain bike no more because you realize how much of a time investment and financial investment it is over time. And you can only ride half the year if you live in a place where you have all 4 seasons. So I'm just trying to be the voice of reason, I guess. I don't want people to spend all this money, get their hopes up, and then you realize, dang, this don't fit into my lifestyle like I thought. Because you also have to drive all the way to the trails unless you live right by mountain bike trails. So there's just a lot. And that's why I've been riding my gravel bike more, because it makes more sense. It's more practical. And then on top of that, they want you to pay all this money for these bikes. Who has time to even figure out all the benefits of the bike? It's just a lot. It's starting to not make sense anymore. And I'm not loyal to any brand, but that's why I lean more towards Walmart and Polygon, because the purchases actually make sense. Now, like I said, I'm not saying you shouldn't get a nice bike, but for a majority of people like myself, after 6 years of mountain biking, there's no way I would go out and buy a super expensive bike, even if I was able to. I have no desire to do that. Not when I can get a bike like this, do a couple minor upgrades, and it's ready to rip. I didn't even need to change the drivetrain on here. I just did it because Shimano said, hey, you want to try this drivetrain out? It's like, heck yeah, I never had a wireless drivetrain. So I couldn't say no to that. But if I was to have this bike myself as my own personal bike, like if I went out and bought it, a subscriber actually loaned me his bike, which is this Ozark Trail Fast Flow. Hopefully he'll let me keep it. He said he don't mountain bike that much, he just bought it because of the videos, but I'll give him a bike, or I'll do something if he ends up giving it to me. But the only thing I would have done on this bike is upgraded the, the fork and the shock, which is minor upgrades. You can still be under $1,500 and have top-notch suspension on here if you upgraded it because of the deals you can get right now. All right, so we just finished a 3-mile loop. From my house to get here was about 40 minutes because there was no traffic. So that was 40 minutes. Plus it took me 2.5 hours to do this, or about 2 hours. I would say 2 to 2.5 hours to do this loop. So leaving my house at 11 and it's 2:30 right now. Then I won't get home till about 3:30. So 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. So that's 4 hours to ride 3 miles. So that's where I'm coming from. It's not that I don't like mountain biking. It's that I'm just trying to get people to understand why these expensive bikes don't make sense, because look how much time it took to ride 3 miles. And who has that kind of time? Now we gotta load up and go back home. Drive, it'll be about 50 minutes because it'll be a little bit of traffic. So yeah, that's just my whole thing. I just want to ride, have fun, not spend a lot of money because it takes a lot of time and effort as it is. Let me know what you think down below, because I keep seeing these new bikes coming out and I keep seeing these prices and it's crazy. Now the e-bikes, that makes a little more sense because you could get more laps out of it, but I'm not ready to ride an e-bike yet. I like riding normal bikes, so I don't really count the e-bikes.